Welcome back, everyone, to Showbiz India. And today it is indeed my pleasure to welcome the very handsome Madhavan to Los Angeles and to Showbiz India on our celebrity profile. You're looking great. It's great to see you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Let's talk about LA. You've been spending a lot of time in LA. Has it kind of become your second home almost?
I think it's a little too premature to call it my second home right now, though I would like it to be. Especially this house that I've been living in. It's a beautiful house. And it's in prime time Hollywood, so it would be wonderful to have it as a second home, but no, work-wise, not really. I've just done one film here, and I'm just lazing around training for my next one. So, not yet.
Not yet. And later I'm going to request you to show us this beautiful home. It's a friend's home.
Yes.
And it's beautiful, and it was, I believe, owned by George Harrison at one time, and then Charlize Theron, right?
Oh, yeah, very famous residents to this building. And then now it's me.
There you go.
Yeah, but it's a phenomenal house. I believe it did belong to George Harrison at one point in time, and he sang this really famous song called "The Blue Jay Way" from the Beatles over here.
And that's why, for those who don't know, this house is on Blue Jay Way.
Yeah, it's called the Blue Jay Way house. So when I first saw it on the net, and I was quite fascinated. But the thing is, I'm staying in this house as my first accommodation in Los Angeles. It's very difficult to go higher than this now, so I'm just hoping that when work happens, I'm able to afford something as cool as this one.
Yeah, the bar has been set
high. I know, the
high.
bar, really high.
Well, that's great. Now tell us about the film that you did here already. Let's talk about that.
It's actually a remake of a classic American film called The Night of the Living Dead. It's being done by Simon West, and he's done films like The Expendables and Con Air and phenomenal films, right? So Expendables 2 being his last one, I think, and Mechanic and stuff like that. So he's putting together a really cool format. I think it's a format where it's going to be 3D plus a comic book graphic, which means it's sort of like Avatar, but a little more advanced than that in terms of the graphics.
Wow. And
it's going to be in 3D. So, and it's a remake of a classic American film called Night of the Living Dead, like I said, and George Romero's. And I was very privileged to work with the likes of Tony Todd and Tom Sizemore. I mean, we really didn't interact too much on the set because of the format, but I met these gentlemen, and it was an extremely big honor for me.
Now tell me, is it any different working with 3D as it is in regular film?
Oh yes, it's night and day.
How is it different?
Well, you see, in regular films, like I would be sitting here talking to you, and this scene would be shot with several cameras or with several angles and stuff like that. With 3D and this particular comic book format, it's just me interacting with assumed other characters in the room. So I'm sitting there wearing a helmet and sitting in front of a mic, and my dialogues come on, and I have to really imagine the whole thing happening, the environment, the people, and then act accordingly. So it was really tough. It was not, it wasn't, I don't know, I hope it's come out really well, but it's an experimental format. So I'm just very curious to see how it turns out.
That sounds fascinating, but it seems like that must be much more challenging as an actor.
Yes, it is, because you don't really get to bounce off other actors and other characters on the set. So you're imagining everything, and like I said, it's very experimental, but if it works, it's going to be revolutionary.
You're training for a film here as well.
Yes, yeah, I'm learning how to, I'm playing a retired boxer in my next film, which will be in Tamil and Hindi. And I'm learning how to box, and I got to tell you, it's not easy. Looking at those guys on the ring for 4 minutes in a bout, and I think, oh, good. I mean, I wish I'd learned boxing, but at my age right now, it's pretty tough.
Oh, come on, you're not that old.
Oh,
You look great.
Look at all the gray hair. I'm pretty old. This is not, it's fascinating that I'm able to do it, because, I've had a little bit of a training with martial arts and fights, but this one is cinematic, right? So it has a totally different language, and it's exhausting. It's exhausting, but I'm enjoying it.
So tell me a little bit about your training regimen.
Oh, it's a lot of shadow boxing. More than that, you see. Let me explain something about actions. If I have to punch somebody, if in real life, and you have to hit somebody, it's great because you use all your pivotal force and you make contact with the person, right? But what's more tough is to come with all that energy and stop just before you make contact. So you can't hit the person.
Right.
So I can't, go into a boxing ring and hopefully not get beaten up and beat up the rest person. So you have to really stop the punch in mid-fight. So that is really difficult. It kind of takes a toll on your shoulders, on your muscles and everything. And these guys in Hollywood really know what they're doing, and they want to make it look real and stuff. So it's pretty tough.
It sounds like it. Yeah. I would have never thought that. It's really interesting.
Yeah, because you require equal amount of force to stop it.
Yeah.
You know, you've flung the punch and it's come right there, and you have to stop the damn thing, you know.
Now, were you athletically inclined personally?
Oh, very much.
What kind of sports did you play?
Well, I played basketball for juniors India. And,
oh, you did?
Yeah,
wow.
Yeah, all sports. I was pretty competent with badminton, with basketball, with golf, which is what I play right now.
So who are some of your favorite players in golf?
There's only one guy. I think it's Tiger Woods. And I mean, he's a rock star. He's a tiger on the field and sometimes off it too, so it's good.
Very well said, very well said. You went from Tollywood to Bollywood to Hollywood. Let's start from the beginning.
Right.
When did you decide that acting was your calling?
So here's the story. Every time I get to get invited to go and give speeches on how I've become successful as an actor, I have to tell them first that there is no lesson to be learned in my story at all, simply because I didn't want to be an actor. It is a very strange industry. It's one of those industries in the world that decides for itself who should be part of it. You can't decide whether you want to be part of it. You know, you could try moving hell and brimstone, you could do whatever you want, but unless the camera likes you and the public like you, you cannot be part of it. So for me, I studied to be an electronics engineer. I was in the defense. I was doing all sorts of stuff, and now I realized that my life was engineering me to become an actor, because by the time I became an actor, I was 25, and I did my first TV serial in Hindi. And I was literally walking down the road and somebody offered me a job, and I said, how much money will you pay me? And I was not keen on acting, and he laughed. And you know, it was one single episode on the TV, you know, called You Love Stories. And then somebody else came to congratulate him and saw me on the set and said, who's this dude? And he asked me if I was interested in doing his soap, which at that time happened to be the most popular soap in India. It was called Banegi Apni Baat. And I featured in that for one episode, you know, and I was also supposed to do just one episode guest appearance. And that episode became a big hit, and I became, you know, one of the main leads of that soap. So it was really by chance that I became an actor. And I was honestly just taking it very lightly, because I was amused. I was like, what, are they actually paying me for doing this? And my first day of shoot was hilarious, because I remember it very clearly. It was a night shoot, and somebody said, sit down, and they put some stuff on my face, and they said, you know, blink, and, you know, that was makeup. And then they said, you know, yeah, crush your lips together and stuff like that. So I'm like, were you funny people? And then anyway, I finished that, and then the director said, you know, walk from there to there, and then look here and say those lines, and go there, hug the woman. I'm like, yeah, okay, cool, I'm done. Can I have the money? And that's how it was. Really had no clue about acting. And then I just did everything that came my way. So I started hosting the Indian version of The Price is Right, called Tol Mol Ke Bol.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I hosted that. I hosted Big Money. I hosted a lot of TV. So by the time I did my first film, I'd almost done 1,800 episodes on TV. And people started asking for autographs, and people started writing that he knows how to act and stuff. I'm like, really? This. And then it looked like it's going to take up a lot of my time, and it looked like it was giving me good money. So then I started to learn a little about the industry and about the camera and how to act and how to deliver lines, and then I got really frightened. Because I realized I was completely useless. I was running on love and good luck, I think, until that point of time. And then I was really worried, because I was acting with the greatest actors in India at that time, like Om Puri and Mr. Satish Shah, and you know, some of my teachers have been like people like Pallavi Joshi and Harsh Chaya, who were on TV at that time and exceptional actors. So, you know, to live up to them, and Irfan Khan, for instance, was, we started off together on soaps. So, yeah, so it was just completely by chance. I don't know how I became an actor.
Well, but right you're a very good one.
And I'm the most nervous one right now, because I really don't know what I've learned in all these years. And every time I go to the set of a film, I still feel totally undeserving and totally lost. I really, you know, it's just something that happens to me by instinct when the director says act, or, you know, when he says action. But still can't figure out how it happens to me.
Well, you're being very humble. You're very good.
I really wish I was being humble, but right now I'm being really honest. I mean, there'll be places where I'll be really cocky, like I'm a great golfer, that I will tell you. But I'm not I think I'm an actor by default. I still look at some exceptional performances by small people in in big films, and it just moves me. I wonder how they do it.
You've been fortunate enough to work with some of the best directors in the country.
Yes.
And you also did, for our Hindi audience, the version of Satya in Tamil, right?
I did Satya in Tamil, which was the original.
Which was the original, which was later, yeah.
Yeah, so I couldn't do Satya in Hindi. I mean, that was...
Right.
Yeah, that was
So tell me that experience.
Somehow, the world made me break all the rules, because I was not supposed to be an actor, and then I became a television actor. And I had done so much of television that everybody said, Maddie, there's no way that you can do films. And I'm like, I don't even wanted to do television. I mean, I didn't even want to be an actor. So films, if I don't do it, it's fine. But right now, I'm doing a lot of soap, and I'm making a lot of money, and I want to get married, so I'm fine. And then, my fiance, at that time, and my girlfriend of 9 years, we got married. We were going to get married, and I got a call from Mani Ratnam. He had actually screen tested me for a film called Iruvar before he did Dil Se. And he looked at me and said, sorry, you're very young and it doesn't work out for you with this film, so we'll work again later. And I went back, just happy that Mani Ratnam had called me and stuff. So sure enough, after finishing Dil Se, he called me and said, now we're on. We're doing a... And I was just, my wife and I were just looking at her. She was looking at me and laughing. She said, really, are you doing a Mani Ratnam film? Do you really know how to act? I mean, geez, man. And I said, I went there, I did my screen test with him. And he said, you're on. And so now, this is my first film. I don't think any actor's son or director's son would get a debut like I got, because it was Mani Ratnam. I was playing the main lead. It was a romantic film. It was Rahman. A.R. Rahman was the music director. P.C. Sriram, who was a genius, was a cinematographer, and we had worked with the best in the industry at that point in time. So I was really small fish on the set. My co-star, Shalini, was a brilliant actress. She too was a star, right? And I was the only guy who was coming in an ambassador and eager-eyed and like a rabbit in headlights, for instance. Looked at everybody and but something happened the moment Mani Ratnam said action. It just everybody was wondering why Mani took this guy. He overacts on television and whatever. But my first shot, I remember very clearly, was a long shot. Before the interval, it was a scene where I'm looking for my wife, and it was a single shot, and P.C. Sriram had done the whole rehearsals, and it was one take and it was okay. And everybody just clapped, and Manish sir gave me a hug, and I knew this is going to be my life. This is meant for me.
Oh, what a fantastic story.
Yeah.
And then how did the transition into Bollywood happen?
So because I'd done television and Hindi, and everybody knew I spoke Hindi, probably better than I spoke any other language at that time. No, actually English is my first language, but I spoke very good Hindi because I was from Bihar, had a Bihari accent to it. Therefore, it didn't have a Tamil accent in my Hindi.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't think I hear a Bihari accent in your Hindi.
Oh, yeah, very much so.
Oh, really?
Yeah, if I go back to my primal Hindi, it's very Bihari.
Okay, but you speak on camera in Bollywood films, it feels
well, it actually
perfect.
Depends on the character. For instance, I did a film called Ramji London Wale, which was a Bihari character.
Okay.
So I played, I spoke that Hindi that was very naturally, my Hindi. And then, of course, when you play a Rathod or Rajasthani pilot, you can't speak in that. You have to speak in a different dialect, or with or whichever films that I've done. So when my second film became a blockbuster called Minnale in Tamil, Mr. Vashu Bhagnani came down to Chennai and said, hey, you should be doing Hindi films as well. So he took me and the director Gautam Menon, and he flew us down to Bombay, and we did Rehna Hai Tere Dil Mein, which was a remake of the Tamil film. So that film, unfortunately, didn't do very well when it was first released, but I have a feeling later on it became like a cult hit. I mean, the music is still popular today. It's been shown more than 1,000 times on television in the last 10 years. And I'm not joking. I'm saying 1,000 times, really.
Wow.
This is not one weekend where it's not on any one channel 3 times that weekend. It's crazy. But it didn't do well when it was first released, and it was termed a flop. But I got a lot of offers after that. So I went on to I did about 9 films in Hindi after that. There was Ramji London Wale, there was Guru, and Mumbai Meri Jaan, and there was Rang De Basanti,